gets us to the school theme of, like our school theme for this year is more of Jesus, less of me, which is referring to John 3:30 when John the Baptist is like preparing the way for Jesus to come, and John the Baptist was like the evangelist of the day, and recognizing that his time was going to be up, and Jesus' time, which was way more important than like everything that had been the whole entire the Old Testament of the nation of Israel had been pointing to, that those roles would have to flip, and it would have to be more of Jesus and less of John. Same with that. And so I love bringing in people like Cole, who sold himself way short on his sports experience. When he said he refs and he does officiating, he's the one that you see on TV during like Big Ten football games. When you say he comes from a sports family, his nephew was just drafted number 4 overall in the NBA draft. Not that matters necessarily for our purposes, but it's just like bringing in Cole, having Henry talk to you, the coaches that are going to come talk to us, like that's just a great segue into our school theme. Less of me, more of everybody else that's going to like provide these insights, so that's great. You probably do want to start maybe like talking to each other. Again, like there'll be breaks built into today, but if you need to get up and go to the bathroom or just get something to eat or drink or whatever, feel free to do that at any time. It will not distract any of us. A couple things about the impact that Cole was talking about and how that like is such a huge part of our school. I mentioned one way that our sports ministry is so impactful is just like you guys in the cross section of where you all come from. Last year we had 350 individual kids on a team, and that's not counting if they were a multi-sport athlete too, which is the size of like some pretty big schools that we play, probably like the second biggest school that would be in our conference. And there's 26, we had 15 basketball teams, we have like 26, 27 overall teams. So just like which is about 30%, a little over 30% of our entire school. I'm going to show some numbers a little bit later on, but like the Center Street campus 8th grade class, 82% of them were on one of our teams last year. So like when you look at middle school, our middle schoolers, over 64% of middle schoolers across the network were on one of our teams. So that's like hugely impactful, not only for like those kids, but for the school itself. And then, I mean, in many cases, like Cole was saying too, like you might be the only adult in one of these kids' life that's going to ask them to do something hard, or that's going to require them to sweat or power through like something that hurts, and they need that. And so, like, how many of you played a sport in grade school or high school? Raise your hand. That is everybody. Kind of what I thought. How many of you had a coach that you like remember? Everybody, like you remember. Everybody remembers their coach for the rest of their life. So, just to like break it up a little bit and get the energy in the room a little bit moving, turn to the person next to you. Maybe it's somebody new, maybe somebody behind you, maybe somebody you're familiar with, and just like share a memory, good, bad, funny, life-changing, of one of your grade school, high school coaches that you still remember to this day. Because we all have. Everybody has it. Go ahead.
They passed the ball to me. I was on the field. And I just tried to be, like, she was just like, I might not make it.
They were like, sweet, that's
We'll do about 30 more seconds.
Why he was doing it.
Seconds. Alright, let's start to wrap this up. Bring it back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you. So, you all had, when you probably were sharing, like a lot of laughing, a lot of just like, yeah, great memories. So it just shows like somebody on your team will probably share that memory 30 years from now. Like coaches are remembered for the rest of your life, which is awesome. That's what we are here to kind of like prepare for almost. What we're gonna do today, as we've gotten in, so like Henry and I were like talking about how to do a coach's training thing. I'm like, I need 3 days to get through all the stuff we need to. We need to do like all this mission and alignment stuff to get everybody on the same page. As like I said, we come from all different places. Some of us are in the school, some of us are not connected to St. Marcus at all, other than for today. How are we going to get everybody on the same page? You also need to know things like how to get in the building and what time your practices are. So that's going to take a while. And then I know, like, especially at the grade school level, maybe you haven't coached before. Maybe it's been a while. Maybe you played but never coached. Maybe you're a super high level coach. How nice and handy would it be to have somebody to tell you, here's how to run a practice, here's the best drills to do for this age. And those are things that I really felt were super important to get access to everybody for. So, thanks for being here for this entire day. That's kind of be the format that we're going to do today. This first part is this mission alignment, vision statement stuff of the overall ministry, so that we're all on the same page with that, which being here, I mean, it demonstrates that you are interested in being on that same page, and so now we'll kind of define what that is. Then we'll take a break, go over the logistical needs, and I will forget some, so feel free to like ask, what about this, what about this? But what you need for your season, for you to feel comfortable coming into the building and having what you need from a practical standpoint. Information-wise, equipment-wise, we'll have lunch. There will be time to meet with your fellow coaches, like who are on your same team. And even if we get done, I was thinking we might get done with some of these sections a little early, but now I think we probably won't. But during that lunchtime, find the other people that are coaching the same sport as you or the same campus as you, and we can kind of like, you can kind of review of some of the mission stuff, ask about their experience here, even practical things like, I coached the B team last year. Here are some certain athletes to look out for being like, this is going to be your best player. This is going to be one of your more difficult players, things like that. You can talk in like some of those practical ways, or if you need to share gym space. If you don't know what spot you're going to be at coaching-wise, team-wise, you can like start to get that nailed down. So we'll have time for that. And then in the afternoon, our guest speakers coming in are, in here will be C.L. Whiteside from Wisconsin Lutheran High School. He's going to talk, I asked him to come in and talk about, as the assistant principal, dean of students at Wisco, the lead basketball assistant on their back-to-back state championship basketball teams, and one of their top football assistants. He knows what they're looking for at that school in terms of athletes and what they should be prepared for being able to handle at the high school level, at there. And also, what do they need to know? What do they need to be prepared for, like academically and personally, so that they can thrive in that setting? Most of our students don't go to Wisco. We graduate 90 8th graders per year, and they can only have room for about 20. But I do feel like if they can make it there, if they are equipped to handle what they're being asked to do there, they can do it anywhere, and so wherever they choose to go. So he's going to kind of like give us some real truth on that kind of stuff. And then the sports-specific stuff in the afternoon, we have Scott Spies, who is for the Badger Region Volleyball. If you were here if you came in the summer last year, he came and ran the clinic. He is, his job is to coach and train coaches for youth volleyball. And so it'll be a great resource on providing materials and mapping out practices and seasons and skills that they need to know at each level. And then for basketball, we'll have Coach Lance Meyer, who was athletic director, basketball coach here for a long time, coached high school at a really high level, and puts just a lot of thought into practice design, motivation stuff, and it'll be like super impactful for the basketball on that basketball end. Our soccer speaker had a family emergency, so he won't be able to be here today. So if you were signed up for the soccer part, you are either done I would recommend actually going to one of the others either with Coach Meyer or with Scott, just to because you can apply a lot of the things they're going to talk about across sports, just in terms of practice structure and how to flow a practice. You can meet together as a unit of soccer coaches and just kind of talk about how you want to approach the season or share your own experience and expertise. And you can we'll decide on what you want to do when we get into the lunchtime. But that's our day. Okay, so mission and vision alignment. We're going to do 2 sets of mission and vision things. This is if you were in here for the new staff training, you should have this memorized by now. But the mission of St. Marcus Lutheran School.
That's kind of hot stuff.
What's that?
New staff, you don't need to have it memorized yet. You will. They're under pressure.
I mean, how many times did they say that over the last 3 days? Let's all read the mission statement together. The mission of St. Marcus is to disciple children for Christ, now and for all eternity, and to train them in excellence for their roles in their family, church, community, workplace, and country. And the vision for St. Marcus: we are a national model of biblical living, individual and community transformation, and exceptional educational outcomes. We are salt and light to the glory of God. Mr. Tyson is going to speak a little bit about some of that stuff too towards the end, but this is what we are basing all of the athletics programming off of, is these 2 things. And it's so important that everybody kind of processes that and is on board with it. I do have athletics mission and vision also. I'm not going to call them a mission statement because I change it almost every year. But we'll read through that again too. So the mission of St. Marcus Athletics exists to disciple athletes, prepare them for lifelong success in sports and beyond, and point coaches, families, and opponents to Jesus. And then the vision that we have: we train the mind, body, and soul of every athlete to thrive in high school and compete with energy, competence, and Christian character. Basically, we want to be known for relentless joy, visible faith, disciplined excellence, and that our athletes, coaches, and fans shine brightly as a witness to Christ in every practice, every game, and every interaction. There's a lot there, but it's just being a light for Christ in all of the games, in all of the practices. Applies to coaches, applies to players, it applies to our fans, and it's just something that has to be a non-negotiable thing for anybody in our program. And by you being here, that demonstrates that you are buying into that for sure. By watching this and wanting to be a part of the program, that demonstrates that. And if that's not for you, if it's not for anybody that's thinking about wanting to be a coach here, that's okay. There's lots of places that need coaches still that are not like a Christian school environment. This one is, and so this is the DNA, this is the identity, this is the vision of our program, while also still competing and doing things at a high level with whatever that is. So the vital behaviors and the things that are going to come out in those 3 areas: the coaches set the tone for behavior and communication and accountability. Everybody in the gym is going to see you doing the things the way that you do them. They all then will feed off of it. Not that the coaches have to be responsible for what fans are saying, but they're going to kind of feed off and react off of how you approach things that happen. We'll get into that a little bit more too. The players need to model Christian behavior, sportsmanship, and commitment. That one is kind of on you too, of training up the students and the athletes to be committed, to exhibit Christian behavior, to show sportsmanship, in addition to the skills that you're teaching them and the teamwork that you're teaching them. And then the fans will be something that we will continue to work on and continue to train, and you are a part of it. And we'll have parent meetings as well, and just constant communication and interactions with them. But they're expected to show respect and avoid negative reactions and stay focused on supporting the team while they're in there. We have had a number of coaches of when you get really amped up or a little excuse to forget about those, the mission, the vision, all that kind of stuff that were the vital behaviors. I've had, people say, oh, I'm just so competitive that I just lose myself. I just care so much. And it's just my personality to, act in a way that shows that I've lost control. So, real quickly, 30 seconds. Talk to your partner, whoever you're next. Can you would you be able to tell me the difference between personality and character? Like when we're talking about the living out the mission, what's the difference? Is there a difference between your personality and character? 30 seconds, go ahead.
Well, I think there's most of them. I know that my personality is explosive. My character is not like that. I know that's where you're going. Yeah. What did you say? Like my personality.
All right, 10 more seconds.
I don't know if that's right. Yeah, that's exactly.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so there'll probably be a lot of book talk today too, but I read this book earlier in the summer. Adam Grant is a performance writer, basically. He described it this way: personality is your predisposition, your basic instincts for how to think, feel, and act. So like what you do without thinking about what you're doing, how you react to things. Character is your capacity to prioritize your values over your instincts. So the things that we're learning, we say we're bought into the mission, we say we're bought into the vision, but when something happens, what's going to come out? What's your capacity to prioritize those things that you say you're bought into in a tense situation or in when a parent is coming after you? That's what your character is, and that's the things that we're trying to develop through this mission alignment, through Bible devotions with your teams, through trainings and cohesiveness with the other coaches in here, and your relationships with parents, building up your capacity to prioritize your Christian values, your missional values over your emotional instincts. Because coaching is going to bring out those instincts. Close games, injuries, other teams' bad sportsmanship, that's going to bring out those instincts in you. Can you take a step back? And we're actually going to, the end of this session, I'll have a toolkit for you to help make a plan for how to actually do those in some specific instances. So we'll get there. Okay. Markers of success for our program. So these are 5 areas that we measure, and I didn't put them in a slide. There we go. 5 areas that we measure to know if we're doing things right, to know if we're doing what we say that we want to do. I like this Corinthians passage, 1 Corinthians 9:24-26. Do you not know that when? Sorry, I'm going to stop. Can somebody read this for me? Volunteer to read this if you can see it. Go ahead.
Do you not know that when runners compete in the stadium, they all run, but only one receives the prize? Run like that to win. Everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable victor's wreath, but we do it for an imperishable one. That is why there is nothing aimless about the way I run. There is no pummeling of the air in the way I box.
Great, thank you. You did great. So there's a couple of spots that I highlighted. Yes, we're trying to win. What does it mean to win? We want to win games. At the grade school level, winning games, sometimes you can be the worst team, but you have the 6th grader that can grow a mustache already. And so you're going to win that game, right? Because you just matured faster. Or you can be the best team, but you have little kids that haven't grown fast enough yet or haven't made it up. Like, when I started high school, I was 5'2". Like, some people just grow differently, and that affects whether you win or lose in grade school. Like, it's not just about how good you are. So what is that winning? There's other ways to win. Now, we do want to, like, win on the scoreboard, but there are other things that we need to measure what those wins are. And so define them. We're not just gonna put out, yeah, we have 15 basketball teams. It's not so that we can just have 15 basketball games with basketball teams. There are purposes for it. Nothing aimless about the way I run. I'm not boxing the air. I'm actually trying to do something. So what are those things? The 5 things that we're looking for are participation. Are we getting enough kids? Are our sports appropriate? Are they things that people are interested in? Are they coming back? Retention. Are we keeping them year over year? Are our practices and our teams engaging? Are we good coaches? Transformation, becoming more than just an athlete, but taking lessons that they're learning here and applying them to the classroom, to their families. And then competitiveness, are we improving, are we getting better? So we offer sports that are accessible and relevant. Every sport needs players to remain healthy, and kids need to move and learn and remain healthy. And this also includes, like, are they remaining eligible? Are they able to get to games? Are we taking down barriers to access, like cost, keeping low costs, helping with transportation, that kind of stuff?
Hey Seth, can I throw something out there?
Yep.
So, I'm a high school teacher, and I would argue that a defining factor in if kids are successful in high school is if they participate in something. So I think this is like absolutely huge, and like if you are like having a strong culture on your team, like kids are gonna talk, like you're gonna get kids 2 weeks after the season starts, right, which is annoying. But it's good because there's more kids. This is so important for middle school kids to be building into that high school level, because kids will leave high school if they're not involved and connected to something. They just will.
Yes, thank you. And that's part of like the vision too, is like we want them to be able to, if they are interested, pick a team or an organization or a music group in high school to stay connected. We know that if kids move high schools and bounce around high schools, they are less likely to succeed. And one of the things that will keep them connected to their school is a sports team or a drama event or a music club or something like that. And so, yeah, this is where it starts for a lot of them. We want them coming back. We create teams that inspire kids to continue in their athletic development journeys. I should be asking somebody else to read these. Year-over-year participation exposes young athletes to more quality coaching, skills practice, and Christian mentorship. Keep them coming back. They will only get better if they're coming back. Why would they come back? Because they like you, because they like the sport, because they're getting better. I have been asked too, so like what's the difference? How do you measure the difference between participation and retention? Which is tough, and I don't know how to measure it necessarily, but you can also kind of think like the retention side, the participation side is us creating a great environment that the kids want to be a part of. The retention side is, yeah, we're keeping them around, but it's also a little bit on them too. Like they need to be somebody that people want to have on their team. So don't be disruptive, put in good efforts, show improvement, show buy-in, and then that's what keeps that retention going. A lot of that is on us to like help them along with that, but that's kind of how I'm seeing some of the difference there. Engagement. Practices are fun, enthusiastic, concise, and productive. I'll ask somebody to read the next one. This happens when coaches have a solid relationship with their players and are prepared with specific practice and spiritual and character objectives and deliver them effectively. That's why we're bringing in experts and coaches to help you with how to plan your practice, what to do, how to be an engaging coach. You don't have to be like joking and fun all the time. Kids just want to like do the thing that they're there to do. Less talking, more action. Less lines, more running, that kind of stuff. Like that's engaging action. How do you do that if you don't know how? That's why we'll have some great examples of it this afternoon. All right, transformation. Will somebody please read me this transformation section? Thanks.
Athletes carry over the lessons learned and practice to other aspects of their lives. Sports alone do not develop good character, but transformational sports programs and intentional coaches equip and empower young athletes to navigate life in school and home with grace, humanity, and ability to make a difference.
Thank you. Have you ever heard the phrase that like sports build character? It's not true. Sports probably make you worse on their own. You know, it takes you guys to use the sports to then build the character from there. It's a powerful tool, but it can also be quite destructive. And again, like, how do we measure that? Not really specific ways, but we have stories. Like, you know how, like, we said before, people will talk about their coaches for the rest of their lives. Coaches talk about kids that they saw, come up for the rest of their lives too. So those are the stories that we use to like show this transformation and observation in that. And then finally, last one, please. Go ahead, Ms. Otto.
Success can be measured in various ways: win-loss records, tournament performance, winning against a specific team, hitting a scoring target, team stats like minimizing turnovers or achieving personal records, anything that demonstrates growth.
Looking for growth, and it's easily measurable. You see your win-loss record, you know how many points you scored. But you can also did you get better at dribbling with your left hand this year? Like, that's competitive type of stuff. Track and field is the most obvious one where you're just like competing against your own personal record. And we keep track of all of that stuff. I'm not going to go, if you were here in May at our end of the season meeting, you saw all this, so I'm not going to necessarily go through it, but you can see things that we're keeping track of is how many kids from each campus are participating on one of our teams. How many teams in the whole school combined are on one of our teams? What are our most popular sports? And how many, for each grade level. And if you want more of this, if you want to see this a little bit more, I can share this with you. And then even we'll put in, I keep track of who are our coaches, where are our coaches coming from, so that I know, do we have a good balance of parents and teachers, who's our most reliable and coming back, who comes back the most often. And then for our, keeping track of competitiveness, what is our winning percentage? Who holds the school record in the long jump since 2017? So these are the things that we're keeping track of for the sake of competitiveness and just to know if we're doing things right. Okay, but these numbers only matter if they're building good habits. Are they keeping kids involved? Are we showing that we're winning in ways that demonstrate growth? Are you guys, are the coaches growing, or just surviving to the end of the season? Basketball season, by the way, is 5 months long. And that's not an exaggeration. So are you guys growing through that? Are you given opportunities to grow through that, or are you just surviving? Fall season is only maybe a month and a half. But it still feels like it's still pretty intense because it's packed in. And then one thing that we don't track yet, but I would like to, that we intend to start tracking is, for that high school thing, who from our sports program that played here, are they doing something in high school? Are they on a team? Where are they? And are they sticking with it? Or are they just dropping out after 1 year? You see things like charts of division, the percentage of high school athletes that play in college, and it's 3% or whatever. And then what's the chart of percentage of high school athletes that play beyond their freshman year in college? It's way less than that. I played Division III sports, but I didn't make it past my sophomore year. And so those are things that we're going to kind of keep track of in the coming times. Okay, activity time. We have all of these ways to grow, or the difference between personality and character. Can I get some help passing these out? Thank you. You have a pen in your folder there. You have a partner. The difference between personality and character: prioritizing your values over your instincts, hard situations, the mission and vision of the school and the ministry. What does that look like when it actually happens? We've got some scenarios here. I'll give you 5 minutes to go over this. You can go over it on your own. You can go over it with a partner. We're not going to do all of these together. but it's just a little worksheet here to kind of like, it has some very common situations, actually not even common situations, situations that have literally happened in the last year. And I'm sure you can think of more. So just like, what's the right response to this situation from a coach, from the player, from the fans in the stands? We'll come back, we'll share a couple, I'll show what I have written down after a couple minutes. So there's a situation there, a bad call, dispute with the referee. What's the ideal way for the coach to handle it? What's the ideal way for a player to handle it? What's the ideal way for the fans to handle it?
You want us to answer all three all the way across? Or are we only answering from our perspective as a coach?
No, I would like you to answer all
All
three.
three,
Yes.
okay.
And if you don't get to all of them by the time I call you back, that's fine. But at least start to think about those three perspectives. These are all real things that we saw last year. Even like, so when we talked about prioritizing your values and your mission over your instincts, your personality, or at least maybe incorporating them, combining them, it takes planning to do that and to think about specific scenarios. So like when in the trophy presentation, I saw last year a team that got second place at a tournament was given a second place medal, and then one of the players, immediately went over to the garbage can and threw a second place medal away. What do you do with that? Like, wasn't expecting that. Well, so like those are the things we have to kind of like plan for, unexpected things. Like some crazy thing is going to happen this year. And you might not be ready for that specific thing, but thinking through how you would handle it, how the players should handle it, how the fans should be handling these things is a huge step on being able to prioritize your mission and your values over those instinctual things that may or may not end up with behaviors that we're not looking for. Okay. Luckily for you, I filled out all the right answers. We're not going to go through all of these because I went through this presentation with my wife last night, and she was like, "You cannot go through all of them," which is super helpful. I will have this. So later on, when we get to the logistics part, I will show you like a drive folder where I will have tons of resources for you to access, and this will be included in there as like a reference card.
Can you send this to me, Seth? Like, I
Yep.
don't know if I'm on that, in that folder, but
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
love to see this.
Yeah. I'll just go through like a couple of them. The most obvious one is going to be how to handle bad calls and poor officiating or good officiating that you disagree with. So a private, calm, respectful conversation during breaks and action with the coach and the official is appropriate. If it's a timeout, you can ask about this or that. And we've had officials come in, and I'll do this again when we get closer to basketball season. We have a high school, high-level official come in and say, this is how you should handle it. So this is coming right from him. During a break, in the action, go and just ask the question. But during the game, nobody's even like in a space to talk, and that's where your, emotional instincts are gonna overcome your values that you're planning for. Model appropriate response for the parents that are in the fans that are seeing something different in the stands and from a different perspective. And show them that you are handling it and that you are in control and that you are conversing with the official that you just are asking about. And then do advocate for your players appropriately in the moment and afterwards. Make it so that your players trust you enough to go to you instead of hand gesturing, instead of going palms up. they can trust you, that you are the one that's gonna advocate for them, and that you are the adult that can like, talk to them. I don't know, any experience with that in the Big Ten?
Zero.
Well, I will say, like, I think it's important to understand, like, we have a crisis in officiating, and it's kind of a double whammy. I'll just say this really fast, Seth.
Yeah,
That more and more people try officiating and then quit because of the poor sportsmanship of fans and coaches. So like younger officials, the average is they will officiate less than 3 years and they quit. And so then what happens is on your games, we have poorer and poorer officials because we can't get people to officiate because the sportsmanship is so bad. So then the officiating is bad, and then you guys get mad and the parents get mad, and it's like this vicious cycle that's not helpful. So it's important to understand that like your and your team's treatment of officials actually has positive impacts beyond just in that game and in terms of Christian witness. So
and on the pay scale,
yeah.
where do you think the grade school game falls in? It's the lowest. Yeah,
I have a question, so like as a staff athletic department, what would be the procedure, like, I know you're at a lot of athletic events, but if you're not, and the fans are getting out of hand, are you okay with coaches going over to the fans and being like, you guys gotta chill? Or do you want referees to, like, I think we should be all on the same page for that, I don't know.
yeah.
What's your stance on that?
I think what would probably be, just off the top of my head, because I don't have like a written down
That's
every
okay.
thing. Some refs are different than others. Some of them like to, interact with the crowd. Some of them say, and this is kind of probably best practice, don't interact with the crowd and just ignore them.
Right.
But they will, I've had officials come to me and say, hey, can you go handle this person?
Right.
If I'm not there, or if an athletic department staff is not there, which there always will be, unless there's not, then that will be the channel. The referee will go to, or the coach will go to me, or Cody, or whoever else is there to manage that and say, hey, can you go take care of,
Like an on-site manager person who's not
or an
coaching?
admin that's there.
Got it.
I feel, and I could be convinced of this, but I feel like the coaches should probably stick to their team. But if it is a situation where there is no admin and there is no, other person there, and it needs to be, like it's, yeah, I could see
Like away
that.
games, right? Like what if the away school doesn't have anybody, I don't know.
Right. I think most importantly is coaches to just be modeling that while they, and getting their teams focused, because that's enough to worry about there.
That's what I was gonna add to it too, like, I think that's a really good teachable moment for you and your kids, like, your actual team, to just be like, alright, like, we can't handle parents at this time, you can only
Yep.
handle yourself, like, on the court, like, I don't know.
And the plan is, and the ideal is, and what usually happens is I or another admin is at those away games too.
Okay, cool.
Which is by the way, least effective resolution, is when an administrator walks up to parents. Generally, the outcomes are horrible. And so the other thing I'd say is, there's not much you can do in a bad situation during the game, but coaches proactively communicating to their students' parents, these are my expectations as the coach for how we're gonna behave. And some coaches have done an amazing job of saying, this is from me as the coach. And it's aligned with the school's expectations. And then similarly, when things have gone badly wrong, a couple of coaches, after the game, they've got a group chat going and have had really direct conversations with the whole team.
Right.
And then there are outliers, generally not direct parents, relatives.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to control.
Yeah.
That's the scenario that is, almost impossible, when you don't know the person and they're not connected, it's somebody's uncle or aunt or cousin or something like that. Referees do have the authority to eject fans
Right.
from the building.
Right.
And we haven't had this, but game managers do have the authority to bring police in, which we've never had that happen, but I have seen it happen at other places. And so if it gets to that point, then those are within the bounds of what's acceptable. Anything else on that? What about one of these other scenarios? Somebody wanna pick one out? Parent confrontation, yeah. Unfortunately has happened. Hopefully not all the time. Maybe only after we lose.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, parent confrontation. So, yeah, the quote that I found there was, "Don't raise your voice, improve your argument." That can go both. That can go for either side. That can go for the parents, just to like tell them, "Don't raise your voice. Make sure you're right. Like actually make sure." And for you, the coach too. Don't get in an argument. Just have listen and have your response or your philosophy, things that you've communicated ahead of time, prepared and rely on that. Don't have that conversation right after the game. Say, "I'm not talking about this right now." You don't have to be confrontational about it. To say, "I'd love to talk about this. Can we do it tomorrow when I have the full attention? Right now I'm just thinking about my players and getting the uniforms collected and managing all the things after the game. We can't have this discussion now. Can we do it tomorrow and set up a time or whatever?" And honestly, most of the time that just makes it fizzle out anyway. You never have that follow-up conversation. But be ready for it. Definitely loop me in and have me be a part of that. And I can even, oftentimes if I'm there, I'll even come across and just be a part of that. "Let's talk about this later" time. If I'm not there, you can just send them to me and we'll set up whatever we need to talk about. For the athletes, they should just stay out of it completely. It does not involve them. They should just say, "Let the adults handle it. The adults are going to be handling this." Even if it involves them, and most of the time it will be about playing time, not even about winning or losing. And that gets tricky, and you don't want the athlete to hear, "This is why he's not playing." And so just keep them out of it and just kind of help build them up in practice and just keep training them in practice and getting them ready for their competitions and their skills. And then we're going to keep talking to parents, keep it respectful. There are things that you can talk to your coach about, which are in our handbook, and we'll get through those in the logistics section. But don't do it publicly. We'll have time to talk, set it up, nothing public, and we'll just try to de-escalate that time. Anything else that have worked for people, or that scenarios that maybe this doesn't apply to?
So last year we implemented the you wait 24 hours after an incident to talk about it, and I think that really helped a lot of parents and me as a coach to formulate a good response and kind of turn it back from where it was to where it actually should be as a respectful conversation. So
Yeah. When we get to the logistics part, I have a list of, these are the things you can talk about you should talk about with your coach, your child's coach. These are the things that are off limits. Here's good avenues to do that. And then you as coaches, proactively getting to know your parents or building those relationships, we're gonna meet. You'll meet them before the season starts. What those communication avenues and mechanisms are, will go a long way in just saying, "Here's what's the plan that's gonna happen. Here's my philosophy on whatever." Our boys A-team basketball coach for this campus, who's not here, planned to be there but couldn't make it today. He creates a sheet. You don't have to do this, but it does work pretty well. He makes a handout sheet before every game that has their theme for the week, the things they're working on, but then the whole roster, and has them listed you are likely to play the whole game today. You'll expect to be in at the end of a close game, and then probably won't play much. Don't expect to be in at the end of the close game, and does it in a much more clear and systemized way. But then also, here's what you're doing well. Here's what you could do better, so that there is a way that there's just everybody knows where they stand, and there's not everybody loves it, but but they all know where they stand. So you don't have to like get that involved, and I wish I had an example of it, and maybe I will get one for you. But just the clear, constant communication back and forth goes a long way in helping that kind of stuff. And the parents do, most of them, they just want to know that you're not like out to get them. And if they know that, if they trust that, then they'll accept pretty much all of your coaching decisions. Okay. I feel like we could do one more,
Alright,
and then we'll get to Mr. Tyson after that.
the poor, sportsmanship or even racism one.
Yeah. What about, so we talked to our families and our players a lot about, you gotta show good sportsmanship, you gotta prioritize your values over your instincts, right? What about the other team? What if they are doing something? What if they are taunting you? What if their crowd is, mean? I mean, just to be real, like we play a lot of suburban schools, and there's stuff that's still out there, perceived sometimes, real other times, and just like, how do we be ready for that? Okay, so where do I have it? Here we go. Just maintain poise. Most of the thing, keep your players focused. They're trying to, if that is really happening, if that's really going on, they're just trying to be a distraction. Don't let them be distracted. Keep them focused. Say, I see it, rise above it. There's really nothing you can do to control somebody else's attitudes and actions. Inform me, for sure. We need to know this so that we have I know most of the people that we're playing against. I have relationships at pretty much all the schools that we play against. I know exactly who to talk to and who to address that to. So there should be a huge amounts of trust between the players, coaches, and up to me on, we can handle this through the appropriate ways, not necessarily in real time, unless there becomes like an actual safety issue. One thing that we won't do, likely, it's a very, very last resort, but we probably won't stop scheduling another school or another team, unless it becomes just hugely inappropriate and hugely unsafe. Because these things kind of happen in cycles, parents cycle through. So just because one set of parents or students had a certain way of doing things, they usually work themselves out over time, and so we try to keep those going. And honestly, do you think anybody's ever said, we don't want to schedule St. Marcus anymore? Yes, they have, unfortunately. So there's ways that we can work through it without saying, we're done with you, unless it becomes like a true safety issue or big time culture thing. Players should be ignoring it, informing the coach. Don't let them become distracted. Focus on, keep harping on that, value your, prioritize your values and your mission and what you know you're about over anything else. And then the fans, this is gonna be hard, but avoid escalating it. Don't say, well, they're doing it, so I should do more, which is what our nature kind of wants to do. We want to build it on it more, and again, use those appropriate channels. Anything else on any of those? That's it. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just remain calm, because I know it can be a super frustrated or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to figure out how to say what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It can honestly be, especially if you're in a situation where your team has already been accumulating, the wins and the points or whatever, so with track everything works on a point system. So when you're high on the scoreboard and parents specifically just don't know how to take it, and so they try to take it out on your kids, the biggest thing is just remain calm. So and I'm speaking from a place of, we had it happen this past season, at a track meet. Ironically, that team ended up winning the meet, so it was kind of the parent, we were kind of sitting there looking at the parent you did all that for nothing. But the biggest thing for us was remain calm, don't respond, get the kids back to the tent, stay in the tent, don't just try to avoid all situations and circumstances. But in that, as a coach, you have to wear dual hats. You have to encourage kids to stay put, listen to direction, and rewire their thinking in a sense about the incident. But then you also have to put on that coach's hat of like, I have to figure out how to address this with my AD. I have to figure out how to address this with, for track specifically, the AD and then the person who's running the meet. Like we have to all be in the same communication loop of what's going on, what's happening, so everybody is aware. And then also maintaining my athletes and my parents. So the biggest thing, and I will harp on it to the end, stay calm. You have to also like remove your personal bias from it, because the minute you bring personal bias into it, you've lost all control of the situation. So like just being transparent and being able to see outside of the situation helps so much.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So, like I said, this will be in this resource folder. These are all real incidents, even some that aren't on there that still will come up that you might be able to think of, like an injury on the court. Ours or theirs. What happens if there's like a bad injury? What if one of your athletes, one of your players starts crying during the game? For whatever reason, what do you do? What do you do? It's happening. It's happened with an 8th grade boy. I don't know why I say that. It can happen to anybody. What happens when your team starts fighting each other or blaming each other during the game? What if you have an athlete that skips the last 2 practices and then shows up to the game? What are you going to do? What are you going to do for all of it? What are you going to do? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? What if you have an athlete that like opens up to you and asks for like some serious life stuff and some spiritual guidance? Are you ready for that? So these are just scenarios, and so when I put this in there, and if you want help like filling any of those out, I'm happy to, and we can like keep working on that as the season goes on. But this kind of thing is what's gonna get you prepared to handle some of these like really tough situations that could come up, and hopefully that's making you feel equipped for it. Okay, last thing I have in this section. Cole had a book. I'm a big, definitely like coach development reader. I have all of these here. And so if you are interested in any of these, just put your name by one of them and I'll order you a copy. Going off of what our school did last spring, which was super valuable to me. So I have a number of assortment of different books here, and they're for different purposes. So this one is called Do Hard Things. It's about basically how to motivate a team and how to get beyond like what you think of what toughness is from TV or movies. How to get your kids tougher in a way that's lasting. Next one. I just finished this one. It was a little repetitive, but really valuable. More than just a game. It just came out like a month ago, and about the subtitle is How the Youth Sports Industry is Changing the Way We Parent and What to Do About It. And so, like a lot of our kids will be in AAU basketball, and I'm not saying AAU basketball is bad. It's getting expensive. It's getting time-consuming, to say the least. It's just becoming something that's not really accessible for a lot of kids. So our program here is try to be like accessible, community-based, and all that kind of stuff. And so just like in a non-bashing way, how to develop a sports program that's like accessible, community-based, low-cost, developmental, that kind of stuff. Practice Perfect. So this, Doug Lamont is like a teacher coach or like a teacher trainer. He's written a bunch of like coaching books too. So this one is just like 2-page little 42 rules for getting better at getting better. So just like real short snippets on something like how to give feedback, how to model behaviors and skills, how to plan for a practice, that kind of stuff. So just like really short, useful tips for what to say and what to do in practice. And then same author, this one is more in-depth on like teaching skills and more sports-specific things of setting up drills and it's not so much like heart-based, but it's more arms and legs based, I guess. It's pretty academic, but just like, it's very soccer-based, but it can apply to any sport. And last one, this was very heart-based, inside-out coaching, just like empathizing with your athletes. Why do I coach the way that I do? What does it feel like to